currently rushing to go to the Bridge Summit. I know it has already started, but I'm on the way. I'm very, very, very excited to be invited for this summit, and I can't wait to see Idris Elba, Priyanka Chopra. I know Priyanka is going to speak tomorrow, but I can't wait to see Idris Elba today, and inshallah I'll be there tomorrow to witness Priyanka Chopra speak. Hello and welcome back to my corner. If you're new here, my name is Sharifa Ahmed, and today we are going to be going to Adnex Center that is located in Abu Dhabi for the infamous Bridge Summit. So welcome to the iconic Adnex Center for the Bridge Summit, where leaders, creators, entrepreneurs and change makers from around the world come together to connect, collaborate and build the future. There were different stages where different speakers took stage, like Idris Elba, Priyanka Chopra among others, to share their personal opinions about the industry and how it has evolved over time.
Put your hands together.
Famous movie actor Ben Wang from the latest sequel of The Karate Kid, alongside Nicholas Young from The Crazy Rich Asians and Simi Liu from the Marvel Studios' Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, also took stage to share their knowledge on movie production and acting.
I wanted you all to introduce yourselves on stage and talk a little bit about who you are, and along with that, as a little fun icebreaker for us, can you tell us the last piece of media that you binged? So we had a long flight coming over here, so it'll be easy to say who you are and tag that along. And Ross, why don't we start with you?
Oh, binged. So this actually isn't normal, but I binged an entire audiobook on the plane here. Like I was just gonna listen to one chapter. It's Project Hail Mary, and I listened to the entire audiobook on the way here.
Okay, love it. And you're an actor?
Yes. Oh yes, actor, producer, writer. Came up in the Hollywood system and now trying to bring that system to...
This summit ran for 3 days, that is on the 8th, the 9th and the 10th of December, and it's the first ever in the UAE and many more others to come in the near future. This will help bridge the gap between the major industries in the ecosystem and fostering trade as well.
I know backstage we were talking a little bit about your dynamic, and I was saying, are you guys all besties? Like, what's the story? And you guys have all known each other for over a decade of friendships amongst you guys.
Yeah, it's been horrible.
I mean, there aren't that many Asian actors in Hollywood, so I think just by virtue of that, you kind of know of everyone. If not, you know each other. Like Chris, I've gotten the opportunity to work with. Have you guys ever worked together? Chris and I went through one of our least favorite projects and our favorite projects together, and then Ross I recently did a movie with like 2-3 years ago. So I've had the opportunity to work with both of them, and they're lovely people. So when that happens, you just
who's better to work with?
That's a great question.
I mean, I don't think I can answer this question, so you guys will have to participate. But in that vein of camaraderie and community, and the fact that you've known each other for such a long time, and there's not that many Asian directors, writers, producers, we've seen in the marketplace, 9% of box office movies that came out in the US were affiliated with Asian American leads or Asian American storytellings, and that was something that's to our credit. But at the same time, even though there's mainstream box office success, this question of whether or not there's equitable opportunities that are shared storytelling and actually an increase in leads or in more diverse storytelling? Have you seen a shift happen as real revenue and box office attribution comes forward for Asian communities?
Honestly, I don't see a lot more. Oh wow, did they stop the drums? Oh, this is nice.
Mic drop. We wanted to hear this one.
Yeah.
So.
In my opinion, no. I think in Hollywood there haven't necessarily been more opportunities, but I think the interest and the appetite has increased. So I think that's why in the last few years you've seen this explosion of acceptance of Korean media, K-pop Demon Hunters, Parasite, and that just shows that there definitely is an appetite for it. But Hollywood hasn't necessarily been following through. I don't think. I think they've been encouraging it, but they haven't been leading the way. Yeah, that's just my perspective.
I think when Crazy Rich Asians came out, there was a boom, and like every project that succeeds kind of sets a precedence for other projects to follow in its in its path. But I think one of the most important shifts that I felt as an Asian artist is leading up to Crazy Rich Asians. I don't think I could call any Asian actor like a true friend up until that moment. And there was
Hang on.
Sorry,
Just said that we know.
I know. I'm getting there. It was an acquaintance. Sorry. But there was like several gatherings in LA that happened like in the years, like the 2 years leading up to Crazy Rich Asians. We all got into a room and we're like, hey, why do we hate each other? No, like why are we cutting each other down? Like it was kind of weird, but like every prominent Asian actor
Just say stuff like this.
Yeah, well, honestly, yes. But it was like really nice. It felt like a giant group therapy session that we had several times. And by the time Crazy Rich Asians came out, seeing this guy on there, like we were so happy to support each other. And I think this comes from a place of scarcity when, there's so few things, and anytime I get a role, I'm the token Asian guy on that show. It feels like if it's not me, or if it's someone else, it's not me, as opposed to I'm so happy for them, right? And so I think when we got away from that, now like most of my closest best friends are all Asian actors. And I'm in a much happier place. It's a really cool thing to see. And so I think shows like Crazy Rich Asians, Everything Everywhere All at Once, it has kind of allowed us to feel like, it's not only going to be that project, and so I'm thankful and grateful for that. But at the same time, I think with the new era, I'm scared that we're going to revert back a little bit, but I hope not.
Yeah, it does feel that way, right? It feels like we had a little bit of a moment and then it cooled off. I think the year that Crazy Rich Asians came out, Black Panther also came out in the same year, right? 2018. And then traditionally, before that, the excuse to not greenlight diverse projects was always, it's not going to get bumps in seats. They're not going to make box office. And then after that year, they couldn't say that anymore. Right? So I started greenlighting all these things, and we did have a moment. But unfortunately, I feel like all the projects that were greenlit after that were developed in a time when, like you said, it was unfathomable. I was celebrating Norris's win for a while last night. I'm a bit tired. Just to even think of seeing two Asian faces on screen at the same time. Like it was a real thing. If we were going for casting and you knew that there was an Asian role that had already been cast, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm not getting this one. And a lot of the projects that were greenlit post Crazy Rich Asians and Black Panther that year were developed in a time where that was the case. And so they kind of weren't the most authentic versions of those stories. Which was quite sad because we had that moment. It felt like we didn't really make the most of it.
But what I will say from all this and what I've learned, especially with the whole Korean explosion, is that for years, for almost a decade, we've tried to change Hollywood from the inside out, right? We tried to get there and plant and show that these stories are profitable and therefore, hey, Hollywood, make more of this stuff. And it seems that Hollywood is not making that change. So I think following the Korean format is now we're trying to change it from the outside in. We're trying to go to the Middle East, we're trying to go to Korea, Southeast Asia, take these local stories, show that they are profitable as Korea has, and then maybe that will be a signal for Hollywood to change. Or maybe we don't even need, Hollywood isn't necessarily the epicenter of entertainment in the world anymore, I don't think. I think since COVID, it's diversified and it's out and now it's being outsourced. So I think that is how we will show underrepresented communities, especially in the Middle East as well as Southeast Asia. I think there's characters and stories that have not been portrayed and not been given the light. And I think it's on us to show that they can make money. I mean, Middle East specifically, the show Mo, amazing. And that was very well received in America and it made a lot of money. So it's not that they can't work and lead Hollywood now.
I think there's a big point there in that Hollywood's kind of a dinosaur, right? Like, they don't really change that much. It's not really run by creatives. All you're trying to do is mitigate risk because the margins are so thin nowadays that, oh, we can't take that big swing, we can't do that, that's too risky. Minorities all across the board is a risk because there's not enough data for them. And so you end up making the same choices, the same types of movies. So really, you have to go out of this Hollywood system in order to tell stories that are actually resonant with the people that are telling them. And in taking those big risks, I think where there's risk, there's reward, right? And I think one thing that I don't like is that I feel like the last decade, Hollywood has taught audiences that movies are kind of like, meh. The Marvel stuff hasn't even really done that well. And when I was growing up, that was the only thing we did on any day, like birthdays, a Thursday. We would just go to the movies because it was exciting. You never knew what you were going to get. Now you kind of know what you're going to get, and I think the expectation is so low, and the price point to go to a movie is so high that it's just not an activity that people do anymore.
Do you think that the new investment thesis is that we need Asian-led businesses, financiers, and people from our own community to rise up, or is it to look to those allies and unlikely actors? Like, how does the actual model of financing need to change if we want to scale the way that we're telling these stories?
I think it's everything in conjunction, right? Like if film isn't the best business, but it changes culture, right? It's actually, it does something that money can't actually buy, right? You could try, and if you succeed, amazing, but I think the cultural prowess, that soft power, is worth a lot more. It's intangible, and so I think it's really hard to really put a value on that thing.
No, and to answer your question, yes, I think it's local financing needs to be the forefront in this. One thing that I explained I keep going to Korea because I think that's just the best model right now, is that a lot of people see this as like an overnight thing. Korea, the government has invested in entertainment education for 2 or 3 decades now. So this was 20, 30 years in the making. And they were consistent with making a lot of content, and it's only when Squid Game, Parasite, these things kind of were unexpected booms. So I think when you talk about success now, people think, or you think that you need to have something be viral to be successful, and that's the only marker for success. But you can't really predict that. So the way you get something viral is consistency. So when we talk about Southeast Asia, there is a lot of money there. You talk about the Middle East, there is a lot of money, and there is a lot of opportunity to invest in this consistency, and hopefully it'll catch on as long as you're being authentic. Because movies, they aren't the best business. The margins aren't super crazy, but what it does do is it drives tourism, it drives cultural education. The big thing, tourism, in Southeast Asia, Crazy Rich Asians was amazing for Singapore. K-pop Demon Hunters has been amazing for Korea. So, and just all the income you make from tourism and that infrastructure, I don't know, movies to me is starting to feel like advertising now for different cultures.
Well, I mean, F1 was a big commercial.
There you go, yeah. So,
we were there yesterday, it worked.
So it isn't just the movie, you're not just trying to make money off the movies, it's a whole ecosystem of culture.
So you touched on something, and I forgot what I was going to say now. This is fantastic. I jumped in so hard on that. But we're talking about the financial model change, the model of movie making, right? Yes, data. You were talking about data. And that's where minorities really suffer, because we don't have the data to show what the returns would be, right? So where does it start? And the traditional Hollywood model is, if you have a certain star, we know how much money they can bring in. You can get pre-sales for this movie. That helps you get funded. I think for minority-led movies, and if we want to achieve diversity, we can't use that same model. Right? And so the finance system has to change. Right? Where we get the money from has to change. I think we have to develop our own stars, and we have to go indie finance to do that.
I know you mentioned collaboration. I'm going to take a little bit of a pivot coming from my world. I do Gen Z marketing, and we talk a lot about where we think culture is headed and how entertainment film media is really influencing the way that we think about that. And I know Corey is in the audience. I have to give a shout out to who's the CMO of ELF, and they've done some amazing work in doing brand campaigns that tell a story that is not what we expect from a brand to do. And on this point of collaboration, I think brands, for example, have a really big opportunity to become those unlikely collaborators in entertainment and film and branded content.
Again, consistency and authenticity together, I think, is what will create the new batch of artists. And unfortunately, in a world where uniqueness is starting to die out, and we're all kind of like watching the same thing, we're all kind of thinking the same thing. Find the artists that you resonate with, and then just support them in any way that you can.
And you have an upcoming project or anything we can plug if we want to support Mr. Ross Butler?
I got a couple projects coming out soon.
Come on, don't be shy.
Yeah, tell us.
There's one called Zipline. I don't know when that's coming out soon.
Okay, we'll stop.
I feel weird plugging myself.
Well, we're here to uplift you and gas you up if you want. Osric, what wisdom do we have? I know there's something in your brain.
I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to there's so many things that I don't even know.
What's something that you wish a brand would fund, or Hollywood would fund?
I don't know, but honestly, when you ask that question, my thought is everything's IP based. I'm waiting for the Louis Vuitton movie or the HP story.
Would you watch that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think people are probably gonna watch that. Like, there's so many weird movies being made, but I think, you know, like, artists aren't business people by nature. You know, we can be creative, and if you give us parameters, you can be creative within parameters. I think that's probably what artists need, is those parameters, like really highly defined parameters saying like, hey, we can do whatever we want in this, then, you know, maybe that's the best way to actually make art and be not losing money all the time.
Chris.
Well, I'm just looking at this. We got 20 seconds left, so I feel like I should just do the plug.
Yes, go for the plug. We'll take it. We'll take it. Where can we follow you? Where can we see you? Where can we watch you?
No, I have I'm in a Sam Raimi movie coming out in January, and there's a series coming out called The Season, which is the worst title for a season of television ever. That will be out on Hulu in May.
Season 1 of the season.
Yes, season 1.
Can't wait to watch. Thank you so much for the conversation and for the vibes. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Maha and Damien also took to stage and explained what being verified on social media really entails and if it's a prerequisite for trust and credibility or not.
Let's start with you, Maha. If the blue tick is no longer a credibility signal, then what is?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here at Bridge. You guys, when you're thinking about verification, it's not going to really matter anymore, right? The verification tick isn't how we judge if we trust somebody or not. You can have a lot of influencers. Again, that's not a barometer if people trust you. I do communications. I'm in the business of reputation management and trust. And I want everyone to be here thinking about, it doesn't matter how many influencers on, do people actually trust you? And how do you build that trust? You have to have a good reputation. You have to have good relationships. You have to deliver on what you promise you're gonna do for people. To deliver trust is not about a check mark. That's not the thing that's gonna save you, because AI can change a lot of that. What's gonna save you is consistency, having a good reputation, and showing up and being a good person and building a personal brand that matters.
Being a good person seems a lot to ask these days.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does matter that people want that authenticity. They want that transparency. Like, you guys have seen how when CEOs have bad behavior, how that can reflect on a business, on a company, on shareholders, on the people that work there, on investors. So your behavior matters 100%. Online and offline, people can record everything you're doing and broadcast it to the world. So yeah, doing the right thing is always the right thing.
Damien, what markers of trust do you think still mean something to the general public?
I agree fully with what Maha just said. I think just having a check mark by your name doesn't signify trust, and nor should it. No one has the right to trust that's unearned. I think longevity, credibility, accountability are so important for building trust. It's exactly the same as the people you interact with on a daily basis. You understand quite quickly whether they're full of nonsense or whether they consistently speak the truth. So yeah, I think it's the same. I think people that consume social media are not stupid. I think it's so easy for us to sit up here and assume that people can be misled or they're gullible. I think people are more sophisticated now in how they consume media than they have ever been. And so there's no reason that just because someone's talking nonsense online, that thousands or millions of people are going to believe it. I think that's completely wrong-headed.
Having said that, Maha, paid verification is still sort of, up there with something that people aspire to. That, to still get the blue tick, whether it actually means something or not, is, to many people, actually immaterial. It says something about you. Do you think it's the best business model that misinformation ever had?
Yeah, I mean, I think about the paid verification. So I became verified on Instagram many years ago before it was something that you could buy. I know you could buy it on X, you could buy it on different platforms. And I had to earn it. I had to be a published author. I had to write articles. I had to speak on stages. I had to have credibility. I had to have experience, and I had to prove it to these platforms that I wasn't just out there spewing information without having actually done it in the field. So I've been doing communications for 30 years, building personal brands for other people. And there's so many people online that say, we can build your personal brand, but they're not actually doing it for any active clients. So when I think about the value of the pay to play, where you can pay to be in it, it's good for a business tool. If you are sitting in the audience and you're like, Maha, should I pay to do that? It's valuable to do DMs to people that you want to do business with, but you have to look at what's the reason you're doing it. Is it because you're trying to get into people's DMs, or is it you're trying to pretend to be somebody you're not? Like, I feel like there needs to be a message or a reason behind doing it.
Absolutely. And look, from a journalistic point of view, Damien, how much do you think that paid verification has added to impersonation and high reach misinformation, particularly in circumstances where, you know, it's a breaking news event and your audience, well, they rely on, you know, on such entities in order to bring them the most dependable information?
Well, I have personal experience with this, but before I answer that, I would say I was furious when you couldn't pay for a blue check mark because I couldn't get one. And I wrote regularly for the Spectator magazine in the UK, which is a very prestigious publication. But the people that own Twitter, who I think by their own admission were mostly communists, and very sort of liberally minded, they hated that publication, so they wouldn't give me the blue check mark. So I was furious. So on day one where you could buy one, I bought one, and I had no shame about doing it.
I couldn't get one as a journalist, but I could as a real housewife of Melbourne.
Right, okay.
I did a reality show and got a blue check mark.
But I've been a victim of impersonation online, and I can't do anything about it. Somebody set up a fake Facebook account of mine. I think it's a Novak Djokovic fan. I upset a lot of Novak Djokovic fans, and he put devil's horns.
That's not hard to do.
He put devil's horns on my head, and then sent friend requests to all of my friends, and my own mother accepted. And I saw they started posting weird things, and I saw people liking it, and I can't get Facebook or Meta to do anything about it.
No.
And they said that you could pay for verification, and if you paid for verification, they would then take harder steps against impersonation. And I thought that kind of was a bit of a scam, that it's a bit of a protection racket. You pay us and we'll make your problems go away. So yeah, I've mixed feelings about it.
Absolutely. Have you got any sort of similar stories like that, Maha? That's a pretty bad one.
No, I don't, sorry.
Thank goodness, thank goodness. You just
help
hear
you.
about them so often. You know, everybody's been impersonated or, you know, had their accounts hacked. I certainly have. And to get them back again is nigh on impossible.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Absolutely. So now we know that generative AI is producing much more realistic likenesses, identities, voices even. How does it amplify the weakness of trust signals that were designed perhaps for a pre-AI internet?
I mean, I think you guys can see that this morning, if you saw the opening ceremony, they had the real version of Sheikh Abdullah and they had an AI version of Sheikh Abdullah speaking in multiple languages. And you couldn't tell the difference if it was him actually doing it, if he spoke Chinese and he spoke all these languages, or if he actually was an AI thing. So I think it's getting very sophisticated, it's very good, it's helping people scale and structure their stories and do it in ways that we never thought imaginable. But I think a lot about, when we go back to the trust part you see on the screen there, every time I'm watching a video now, I'm like, is that a real human? Or is that an AI influencer that's really good? So you guys see those videos where like there's a dermatologist who's rating beauty products.
Yes.
8 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 3 out of 10. And she's rating these products. I'm either thinking, okay, I don't trust. Is she like working for one of the brands, so she's gonna give everyone low scores and them a high score? Is she actually a dermatologist? Is she actually a doctor? Like now I'm stopping to think, do I actually trust that is a real person or an AI influencer? So I clicked on her profile to see that she was actually a doctor and she had things that she was doing. She had her degree. I went off Instagram to search, but now this is what I'm doing. Like, I don't trust it, even though it looks like it's a verified account from a dermatologist. She's doing content about skincare. And I noticed the little arrow button had like a lot of shares because a lot of people use skincare and probably wanted to share with their friends. And I'm like, she's going viral. I'm like, is she actually a real human or an AI? And she was real. But you do have to stop and pause.
Absolutely. You know, it's like George Clooney speaking cryptocurrency. That one was very realistic, incredibly so. But Damien, let me bring it back a little bit to breaking news scenario. Should we assume, do you think, now that every verified account breaking news when those things happen is fake unless proven otherwise?
No, quite the opposite, I think, because in this age of instant mass social media, I think people might attempt to spread misinformation, but it gets debunked incredibly quickly because everybody has access to a megaphone. In terms of, we're talking about social media, but if you think about legacy media getting in trouble for spreading misinformation, just recently the BBC, which is kind of a high watermark for global media, all global media should aspire to being like the BBC. The very top guys have just had to resign because they spliced together President Trump making a speech to make it look as if he was saying something he really wasn't saying. So that is spreading misinformation on a massive level, which is, I think, something we should be far more worried about than people doing it on social media, potentially.
I think that newsrooms should perhaps be more involved in the conversation about the evolution of this technology.
Yes and no. I mean, I think all newsrooms, certainly at Arabian Business, we aspire to just present facts that are truthful and to present opinion which is well argued and makes sense to the audience. And audiences know.
That's not intrusive at all.
Audiences know when somebody is not being truthful with them or to them. Human beings sense it very quickly. So I think that our job is probably to go on doing what we do, which is presenting the news as we find it, truthfully and factually, and allow others to worry about misinformation and all the nonsense that goes on out there, because there's so much of it, and we can't possibly hope to control it.
I think consumers are just getting smarter about everything.
Yes.
You know, they're smart about whether that's an AI or not, and, you know, what to trust and what not to trust, and understanding that just because, you know, I talk a lot about people are greater than logos, right? People trust people now more than they trust logos. People follow people, they don't follow companies. So the BBC, the CNNs were like, those letters were very important authority and credibility, and now with the creator economy and with everyone access to the information and the internet, now everyone can tell a story and broadcast and tell you what I think of this water, and I don't have to wait for the water company to tell me what I should think about it, right? Yes. So I think consumers are getting smarter. They're learning to make choices with their thumbs on what they want to purchase, what they want to follow, what they want to consume. And I feel like everyone in this audience, if you walk out of here today and you're not thinking about your personal brand and what you have to be doing to build trust, you're wrong. You need to be focused on it. You need to be thinking, my company is not going to build my reputation. I need to build my reputation. My employer is not going to do it. I need to do it. And don't hide behind logos or titles, and really think about what you can do to build your own reputation, to protect yourself. Even if you work at a company and you want to keep your job and you love your job, be a good ambassador by focusing on your reputation. So many times people say, well, I don't want my employees to build their personal brands. And I think that's the wrong approach, because if they do, that means they're good at storytelling, they're good at social media, they're good at connecting with audiences. Those are valuable skills that any company needs to have today.
Absolutely, and I think that's an absolutely perfect point at which to pause our conversation, sadly. Maha and Damien, I very much appreciate your input this afternoon. It's been very valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Still at the impact stage, Stefan Tumpano, the CEO of Aspire, also took to stage to explain the latest innovations in autonomy and automobiles, and also explained why it is important and apparent to do public testing as a way of finding out the perfect niche.
Set of concepts there, and I'm excited to get into it with my first guest this afternoon. Please welcome Stefan Tumpano, CEO of Aspire, part of Abu Dhabi's Advanced Technology Research Centre. Please welcome him. Stefan, so great to have you with us this afternoon.
Nice to be here.
So, let's start off with this. Some people may not know Aspire and what you do, and the part that it plays in Abu Dhabi's innovation story. So take us through that.
So Aspire is part of ATRC, the Advanced Technology Research Council of Abu Dhabi. We are, as I like to call it, the dark kitchen of innovation in the UAE. So 5-6 years ago, when we started, ATRC was an empty shell with a couple of employees. Today we are 1,400 employees, more than 1,000 researchers, so PhDs, engineers that understand technology deeply, and organized in 3 main organizations. So the first one is Aspire. We find the opportunities of innovation for the UAE. We engage with the companies in the UAE to define the priorities, and we do technology challenges. The biggest one, you just saw it in the back with the 2RL. The second part of the organization called TAI is a research center. So this is where we have our 1,000 researchers. They do research in autonomy, in AI, in computing, in quantum computing, in advanced materials, in renewables, and they help us developing the technologies we have identified as being the technologies we want to develop as UAE and with our local partners like ADNOC, Mubadala, or ADQ, for example. And the third leg will be Venture One. Venture One is our venture builder. So once we have identified an idea, develop a proof of concept that is business ready, it goes into Venture One. Venture One will develop the startups, the GVs, the licensing required to produce these products and put them on the market.
You must be, in this environment, spoilt for choice as far as frontier technologies in which to input attention and investment. How do you decide?
Well, we have a lot of opportunities to make mistakes. That's the first things I will say. Also because we talk a lot about AI, agentic AI, about quantum computing, about all these revolutions that are taking us like a big wave. And you have to jump in all the trains, and the fear of missing out is everywhere here. So the first job we have to do is to identify what are the real priorities we want to work on. So the things that really matters for the UAE and globally. That's the first exercise we do, just to make sure we go at scale on the technologies that we really believe are useful for the country and globally.
I know that you've been a big believer in testing autonomous tech, not just in labs, but in the real world.
Yes.
It would stand to reason as to why that's so important. But tell us from your standpoint why it matters such a great deal.
So it matters a lot because if you talk about autonomy in the last few years, in all the sectors we have seen new autonomous things picking up, right? It goes from the simple robots that do very simple tasks. By the way, this is true for the last 15 years in healthcare. Like robots doing surgeries, it's already there. When you take a plane, part of your flight is automated. There is a robot or there is a software behind that is taking decisions on the behalf of the humans. Now we see autonomy getting into your cars, getting into drones, getting into any kind of vehicles. And it's become more serious because it's not only a few people impacted, it's actually the full community that is impacted. And so we believe that doing things at scale like we do with the 2RL, which is the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, is to show people that we can actually put autonomy in vehicles that go 250 kilometers per hour. And it's very different to do that compared to put a robotaxi that go on a specific lane at 50, 60 kilometers per hour. So the level of complexity you deal with is very different. But this helps us to create the excitement and the adoption from the grand public. Because I always say when I speak with people that come to see us, we need to focus on 3 things: trust, trust, and trust. The day you have an incident, it's gone. The day you have you have the people starting saying, I will never put myself in this vehicle, I will never put my daughter, my grandmother, my uncle in this vehicle to go to school, to go to shopping, then you have failed. And the cities and the urban environment is going to need big time autonomy going forward. Too many people in cities, you can't afford to have individual drivers doing whatever they want. We will need to have autonomous vehicles most likely taking care of managing the flow of these people. And so if people refuse to do it, we have a challenge.
I mean, obviously trust is everything, and once you slip up there, trying to regain public confidence would be, I imagine, incredibly difficult. So is there something that you've learned from your experiences with public testing that you never would have discovered in controlled environments, and therefore once you do have success with such things, that confidence does start to return?
Absolutely. Look, with the 2RL, we have put ourselves in front 2 times in front of 8,000 people live with autonomous super formula cars. And the first season actually, while it was from a technical perspective for us a huge success, in terms of perception, people were kind of questioning, right? So we had million views online, but we had a good 50-60% of people doubtful, or people asking, is it useful? What do we do that? It will never work. Look, they go slowly. What's the matter of doing these things? This year with the 2RL season 2 on the car race, because we also do that with drones. On the car race, we had 18 months to prepare for the second race. And we absolutely put no filter in front of the public to show them how good these things was. But we learned a lot from the past. And most of the things we have learned is clarity on the rules for the AI agent which is into the car, is testing. So we have been doing in the 6 weeks before the race, 10,000 kilometers, which is more or less 3,500 laps of the Yas Marina circuits. But giving the possibility to the teams to fail constantly with no consequences before they go live in front of the public was, I believe, the most important things. And autonomy needs huge test beds to build up this confidence.
I so wish we had more time, Stefan. There is plenty more that I could go into with you. Unfortunately, we don't. But I do want to congratulate you on all of the remarkable success that you've had and really taking us through, in a very short form, in a very short order, the importance of transparency and trust with the public. Stefan, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
There were also live broadcasts taking place and news being anchored in real time. This summit is designed to adapt to the current changes in technology for the future of media and entertainment in this new era of digital transformation and AI by addressing emerging technologies, new business models, and evolving consumption habits. So make your way to the Bridge Summit and witness as the world evolves in terms of media, AI, technology, innovation, among other creatives. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, kindly go ahead and click the subscribe button, turn on post notifications so that you're notified each and every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and may Allah bless you.